The US has put a massive priority on security of supply, and they've done that by exploiting their massive reserves of shale gas through fracking. And that's meant that the US has a much cleaner supply of energy because they're less reliant on coal or dirty Russian gas or anything from overseas. And therefore, their prices haven't gone up anywhere near as much. What we're going to see as a result of both, I suppose, the sanctions on Russia as well as the embargo that's now coming into place is some quite substantial global impacts on our lives, particularly for energy-intensive industries, some of which might have to shut down. But I mean, the people talk about data as the new oil, but oil is the real, oil is still oil. Oil is an input into everything we buy, be it things we buy at the supermarket or packages on Amazon or whatever else it may be. The price of all that is going to go up because we don't have the same level of energy security that the United States has.
But what can be done in the short term about this? We've heard a lot about new drilling in the North Sea, potentially fracking in this country as well, or exploiting our British natural gas here at home. That's all going to take time. Is there anything that can be done in the short term?
Look, I think that's completely right. I mean, you do have to make and use the, I suppose, opportunity and what we're learning from this in order to make those medium to long-term decisions to get fracking in Britain so that we have our own domestic supplies, so we're not so dependent on Russia or other unsavory countries. Also, obviously, using the natural resources in the North Sea. I mean, in the immediate term, what the UK can do, and this is more of a foreign policy task, is trying to put pressure onto OPEC to increase their supply. That's the classic cartel. They ideally should kick out Russia as well from that cartel so that there's a bigger incentive. There's also a lot of countries, of course, that aren't members of OPEC. You've got natural gas that you could ship in from Australia, from the US. Qatar recently left OPEC as well. So I think there's some opportunities there for the UK to work in its international networks to get a continued supply and try to bring down the global price. And that's really what the key will be in the short term, is using the existing global supply chains and increasing it. Because we've got these two pressures, of course. We're already seeing prices increase as a result of COVID-related disruptions. And now we've got this huge extra burden that comes from Russia and the conflict in Ukraine. You put those two things together, we're talking about extraordinarily high prices. Oil is 7 times higher than April 2020, and gas is 10 times higher. Now, I have faith that as the prices go up, more supply will come on board. OPEC, eventually the temptation gets too much in order to increase supply and prices come down as the global market responds to increased prices. So in a sense, you've got to play this along. Prices go up and down. That's the nature of this market, and let people respond. But at the same time, make the right policy decisions so that we have some energy security in the UK.